by communities, the communities accept the responsibility and the role that they play. So the important thing is risk reduction. So how do you reduce risk? Move away from low-lying areas, be in places that are more conducive for human habitation. And then secondly, when a disaster strikes, there's substantial flooding, very, very large scale, we're engaging these communities by providing shelter, by providing food and all the support that they require. But the important thing is to get them out of harm's way. Number one, we save lives. We avert damage to property. Where there's nothing that we can do in terms of property damage, we mitigate by providing temporary shelter. So that's one of the key things that you want to point out in terms of our initiative to engage communities. But one of the issues I think that really needs to come forward in terms of peri-urban areas and the flooding that is taking place there is responsibility on the part of communities themselves. Most people have built in places where they're not supposed to build their houses, and when they're flooded, they're calling upon the government. Of course, it's the responsibility of the government to look after its people, but the people themselves must also be responsible enough. And what we observe in the peri-urban areas are structural distortions accumulating over time and space. So this is decades and decades of poor urban planning and residential development. So going forward, the government is going to enforce very strict building standards and very strict planning initiatives. Most people, when they're approached by the city council, they refuse. So why did you build your house here? You need to pay penalties and so forth. We refuse, don't we? As communities, we refuse. But then tomorrow, when you're befallen by calamity, what's the first thing you do? You call upon the government. So let's work together. This requires the whole of society